is a young enterprising resident of modern-day Mogadishu city. As the owner of a state-of-the-art car care center and spare parts dealership, Dek is part of a thriving business community that has found a footing in the Horn of Africa's capital.
aniga magacaygu waa Deeq Cabdiraxmaan Odawa waxaan jiraa 36 sano shaqadeyduna waxay tahay waxaan keeni jirnay spare partiga iyo baabuurta marka hadana waxaan u sii gudbinay inaan spare partiga iyo baabuurta ku sii dirno inaan cilad bixin barnaamij leeyahay iyo cilada inaan ka hortagno intaba marka waxyaalo badan oo xagga nabadu keentay ayaa jira oo nabadii markaan aragnay ayaan ku dhiirnay qalab qaali ah inaan soo doonno sida qalabka casriga adduunka ugu cilad bixiya baabuurta sida kombiyuutarradii mishimadii nadiifinaya motorka gudaha ka lamaanjeynay sida korka looga lamaanjeeyo kale mishimadii banaanka gudaha uga lamaanjeynay baabuurka qalab qaali ah inaan keeno qalabka adduunka ugu casrisan oo baabuurta lagu cilad bixiyo ganacsigaygu muddo badan soo shaqaysanayna ilaa 15 sano muddo gaarayda ayaan ku soo jirnay inaan keeno spare-ka iyo baabuurta balse markii aan nabadii iyo baabuurtii Soomaalida say ugu badan tahay baabuur casri la keenayo in loo baahan yahay qalab casri ah in la keeno maadaama baabuur casri ah la keenay oo Soomaalida lacagta ugu badneed xagga baabuurta iska galiyeen ayaan naguna u keenay qalabkii ugu tayada badnaay iyo farsamadii iyo isla wada socda iyo wixii dhammaystiran marka sida daraadeed wax walba hadda barunto
During the weekends, many young people just like Dek can be found enjoying a game of soccer on the beach or taking a stroll through Mogadishu's Peace Gardens. Thanks to the intervention of AMISOM and the expulsion of the Al-Shabaab, relative peace has returned to Mogadishu. Business, construction and finance are thriving. For the first time in more than 20 years, formal banking institutions are returning to Somalia. Exquisite buildings spring up in the city every other day, and the standards of education and healthcare are improving substantially. Somalia has slowly but surely become a good place to live for many of its people. AMISOM's efforts in the country have secured the one thing that cannot be bought: Somalia's hope for a better future. The African Union's mission in Somalia, AMISOM, is a multi-dimensional peacekeeping mission created by the African Union's Peace and Security Council on the 19th of January 2007. In partnership with Somali security institutions, it is primarily tasked with addressing the Al-Shabaab threat and the restoration of peace in Somalia. Since inception, it has worked with Somali institutions to not only secure territory from the Al-Shabaab, but to create an environment where Somali political and social institutions can thrive.
The Somalia of 2016 is different from the Somalia of 2007 when we first established the African Union mission in Somalia. At the time, there was no peace to talk about. Al-Shabaab controlled more than 80% or 95% of South Central Somalia. Even within Mogadishu, I mean, we were literally sharing Mogadishu with Al-Shabaab. But their continued effort has enabled us to be able to break out of Mogadishu, establish liberated areas in South Central Somalia, and ensuring that there is peace that has been developing. Were you to go to Mogadishu today, we use an example that a lot of people do not believe that for example, there's a traffic congestion in Mogadishu. People don't believe when we're saying that. That was not spoken about 2007. It means that there is development. Those who had left have come back. There's a lot of investment. There's a lot of development that is taking place. The situation has improved tremendously in that regard.
marka nabadgelyo hadii la helo horta waa run waa si ficnaan waddanka waa ficnaanaay marka hadana waxaan rajaynayaa insha Allah taala inay nabadgelyadan hadda socoto inay noo zaaidaan rajaynayaa dawladdan macna inay noo adkeeyo adduunkana ma taqaan waa hadduu soo gurmado wallahi anaka kulli waxa waa dadaalina waddanka inaan wax soo saarno waxa u farno meesha waayba oo anaka wax ka helno ya waddankiina oo macna ma taqaan lagu hagaajiyo dib u dhis lagu sameeyo anaka wax ka helno marka kulli wixii tabarteena oo kaalinteena waa ka qaadayna insha Allah taala.
The African Union's intervention in Somalia through the AMISOM mission would be the vehicle through which stability would eventually return to Somalia. AMISOM's efforts and interventions have been made entirely possible by critical support provided by the European Union.
The European Union is central to all the activities and operations AMISOM undertakes in Somalia. Through its Africa Peace Facility, the European Union provides a support that in the area of policy, civilian activities, military activities, diplomacy and development, and that allow us to be present and implement our objective in Somalia, the mandate of pacifying, removing, recovering territories and enabling the country, stabilize the country so that it can do other things.
Our first experience with African Peace and Facility started from Darfur, where AU engaged in the first mission on the continent. And I think that was really a challenge experience of African Union to use African Peace and Facility to really run the first mission on the continent. The idea behind the African Peace and Facility is that when we invest the development fund to pay troop allowances or to pay other items to support our peace mission, it will now help the population, help those countries also to develop their economy. And that is really the main idea behind the African Peace and Facility, to use the development fund to back peace on the continent.
The operational costs, salaries and allowances of the military, police and civilian components of the mission are covered entirely by EU funding.
The support has not only been limited to AMISOM but also been directed to the federal government of Somalia itself. They've provided contributions to the political process, the unfolding political process that is currently ongoing, establishment of regional administrations. They've consistently provided that support. But also it has also helped as AMISOM to survive as an operation in order to ensure that we've lived all these years that we've been there together with their support. The troop allowances that they've been paying, the police allowances that they've have contributed immensely to the sustainability of the mission. Hence now the discussions are where to from now. We're not going to be there forever. We need to start to pull out. So the discussions now are ongoing on how to get additional support to the federal government of Somalia, so that at that point in time, when that time comes, we can be able to withdraw but leave a very robust and strong Somalia. This is also, of course, in line with our own African peace and security architecture, which says prevent conflicts where you can, you mediate, control conflicts from growing if you are able to manage that. But when you leave, you must make sure that the country when you leave does not slide back into conflict. And EU has been working with us throughout this process.
From 2007 up to today, we receive about 1.3 billion contribution, dollar contribution from European Union to support Somalia. European Union remain the major support to Somali situation up to today. We receive about 85% of the support we are getting from the partners from European Union.
Besides funding, capacity building by the EU has enabled Somali soldiers to be trained, strengthening their efforts in day and night patrols and stop and search operations that have tightened security in the capital. Stabilization efforts have ensured significant gains in governance. The Somali leadership, through the federal government of Somalia, continues to grow from strength to strength. The mission has helped establish institutions of the federal government in all regions and begun a program of disarmament of armed groups.
We almost have now a sustainable government And if you see the history of Somalia, they have never had a government for more than 20 years. But now you can see big hope of that because of support we received from the European Union. We reached a stage where now we are formed the federal state in Somalia, and we are going to have election this year. Our enemy, Al-Shabaab, is significantly contained, and we are hopeful that we also work on the front of the awareness of the population so that the footsteps and the ground for Al-Shabaab is completely wiped out.
One of AMISOM's key achievements has been the improvement of the overall security situation in the country. In recent years, AMISOM and Somali forces have pushed Al-Shabaab out of much of south-central Somalia.
What we have seen in the past 3 years is the development of new administrations where there was emptiness before. So we have federal states which are being created. We will have in a few months elections in Somalia, alternative elections, not yet one person, one vote, but far better than anything we had before. AMISOM has played, it's evident to everybody, a key role in liberating most of Somalia's cities in southern Somalia. Now I can engage in most of the capitals. In the past, say, couple of months, I've been 4 times to Kismayo alone, just to give you an example. This was unheard of in the past. We engaged with all of these different tools, political, security development, primarily in the north. In the south here, it was more humanitarian and political negotiation. So all of this is changing. I think the biggest achievement of AMISOM has been the creation of space for partners, not only the EU, all of us, to really engage and support the Somali people and institutions.
Somalia is a very rich country, and there is a lot of opportunity. Every sector here in Somalia is an opportunity. And this is the time the country is becoming a federal country. This is the time the country is becoming more of market-oriented, open market, free market. This country is resourceful, and there's a lot of attractive opportunities here in Somalia. And what we are trying to convince investors is the first come, first serve approach is here in Somalia. Those who come at these difficult times, of course, will have privileges and preferential treatment compared to those that will come the day Somalia is fully stable. So there is a lot of people who are now attracted to come in the tourist industry, in the mining industry, in the marine industry, in the service industry. A lot of private hospitals, private university schools are mushrooming here in Somalia. So in the meantime, we're building the necessary regimes for attracting the investment. So we're building our public finance on one hand, we're building on other the legal framework that for the investment, we are securing the land, and every other day the opportunities that are available in Somalia is becoming more and more clearer and more attractive to the investors.
With the continued collaboration of AMISOM, the Somali government and other partners, Somalia is taking decisive steps towards peace and prosperity.
So the African Union has decided that we must now pursue economic liberation. But you cannot have that economic liberation until you have a conducive environment, an environment of peace and stability that can allow for economic activity to take place. As long as Somalia remains what it is today, these objectives of the African Union will be compromised. And this is the main motive why we, as African Union, as AMISOM, we are in Somalia.